Hello, Laura. It's so great to have you here to kick off the final night of our TCM 30th anniversary tribute to all of the people who worked at the channel from the beginning.
Wow, what an honor to be here on the final night.
I
and
know.
I am so grateful to be here with you.
So you were working at Turner and you heard that Turner Classic Movies was going to be launching.
Yes.
What happened?
I was a very ambitious young woman, and it was my dream to work at TCM or to work at a startup business. So I popped myself into Bill Burke's office and I said, I am the person for this job. It was a director job.
In marketing.
In marketing. Little did I know that that position had already been filled by Catherine.
Who was here earlier this month.
Yes, who would become my boss and amazing mentor, and who I owe I would say my career trajectory to. And he said, well, what about this manager job? And I said, okay. And that was it.
So my understanding is that part of your job as trade marketing manager was to get cable companies and other people to sign on to Turner Classic Movies as carriers, as subscribers. Mm-hmm. So you were kind of spreading the gospel of TCM at the very beginning. What was that like?
At that time, the cable universe was 100 million homes, maybe even 120. I mean, today it's not, but back then it was 100 million homes. And when I started, we were only in 1 million homes. And we would work with cable systems and make the case of why they needed to carry TCM. And Tom had like a bell. And
you're talking about Tom Karsh, who was here earlier this month for our celebration.
Yes. You know, every time a cable system launched, we would like get excited about it. And we would say to them, if you launch TCM, we'll come to your market and do a special event. We'll bring a star. We'll bring Esther Williams. We'll bring Ann Miller. And we will help you to announce TCM in your market to your subscribers.
That's great. Well, let's talk about the movie that you've selected for us to watch, which is Woman of the Year from 1942, Katharine Hepburn and Spencer Tracy. Why is this one that you wanted us to watch tonight?
Like I said, when I worked at TCM, I was much younger and I was early in my career. And the reason why I loved it then is actually different than the reason why I love it now, which is kind of amazing about the course of your life. But the reason I loved it then is because from the minute Katharine Hepburn and Spencer Tracy come together in the first scene, you can see their spark, you can see them fall in love.
Yeah.
So that's the reason why I loved it. And the reason why I love it today is because it was before its time. I mean, this is 1942. She was an amazing career woman. She was well educated. She was a foreign correspondent. And it talked about gender dynamics and the juggle of two people in a marriage who have a career and power struggle. And it's unbelievable that that was 1942. And I just think that that's a reason why I love it today, because it shows that, you know, you want to be with a partner who supports you to be all you want to be.
Was it kind of an introduction to Katharine Hepburn for you?
I think so, yeah. I mean, once I saw that movie, then I, of course, watched the Philadelphia Story, and then I, of course, watched the documentary All About Me, and when she talks about Spencer's death, and Guess Who's Coming to Dinner, and I mean, which is the last movie they made together, which is a tearjerker. So, yes.
Well, I'm so glad you chose this movie for us to watch. Let's check it out. From 1942, here are Katharine Hepburn and Spencer Tracy in Woman of the Year. So happy to be back with Laura Gallietta to talk more about Woman of the Year. Okay, you are someone for whom your career is very important. What is your reaction to the last scene of this movie where it kind of all falls apart for her in the kitchen?
I just find joy and a familiarity with that scene, in that because of my career, unfortunately, I never learned to cook. And I also lived in New York, so it wasn't necessary. And what it showed me was how hard it is as a career woman to juggle it all into the mold of what is perceived by society that you should be, and how important it is to find a partner who doesn't want you to conform yourself into it, which is what happens at the end. I mean, she tries, but she tries because she loves him, but she's not that good at it. And he says, it doesn't matter. I want you to be who you are. And so while you may say, why did Katharine Hepburn do that? She's not that way.
Right.
She did it because she loved him, and you do things for love, but you find the right partner who reveres you for who you are and wants to be with you for who you are, which is what happened in the end.
I like that. We talked a little bit before the movie, but you got to interact with some great classic stars because of your job at TCM, whether it was Sid Charisse or Tony Curtis or Russ Tamblyn. What's a memory that pops out as being extra special?
There are so many. I think the Tony Curtis memory for me was a big one because we took him to a cable show so that we could impress cable operators, and we had a contest, win Tony Curtis for a day to come to your market to meet your subscribers. And it was a big promotion, and next thing I know, I'm having dinner with Tony Curtis and his wife, and I called my mom and I was like, Mom, I'm having dinner with Tony Curtis and his wife. It's unbelievable. So I'm very grateful and fortunate for what TCM taught me and the experiences that I had.
We've all had so many pinch me moments thanks to this channel. But now tell people, because it's come full circle, you left TCM,
Yes.
but now you're kind of back in the Warner Brothers Discovery fold. What happened?
Yes. So I left TCM after a really long career of about 11 years, due in part to Katharine and Tom Karsh, who I mentioned earlier. And I went a bunch of different places, and the last company that I was at before was Discovery, and I was the head of marketing for the ad sales division, which is not the distribution salespeople, but the people who do advertising, of which we know TCM has none.
Right.
But it was because of the trajectory I believe that I was set on, that I was put forth on that path. Working with salespeople is a special, special art. And, our company bought the Turner Broadcasting Company, and I came back and I couldn't believe it, because the company that is today is the mix of all the places that I've ever worked. So it's a pretty amazing thing, and pretty fortunate that I get to still be around people. And there are some people at TCM, there are some people who are still here, which is an amazing thing. So to come back and see faces that are familiar is pretty rare.
That's great. It was meant to be, Laura.
Meant to be.
And you were meant to be here today. Thank you so much for being here. It was so great to talk to you.
Thank you for having me. It was an honor.
All right, stick around, because coming up next, another veteran TCM employee will be here to introduce The In-Laws from 1979, starring Peter Falk and Alan Arkin. Stick around.
Next on TCM, The In-Laws, then Christmas in Connecticut, and later, Breakfast for Two. Have your TCM over easy tonight.